Sometimes there's so many things that you can juggle, right? There's so many things that we kind of have to do, and for her to be so laid back and relaxed and have fun and just chit chat with everyone is cool to see.
Now I understand you got some new shoes that you've developed. Is this going to be a gift for Caitlin?
Yeah, so I gifted her some shoes.
Sometimes there's only so many things that you can juggle, right? There's so many things that we kind of have to do. And for her to be so laid back and relax and have fun and just chit-chat with everyone is cool to see. Now, I understand you got some new shoes that you've developed. Is this going to be a gift for Caitlin? Yes. I gifted her some shoes before that moment right there. That wasn't just Nelly Korda being nice. That was Nike making a statement so loud that it's rattling the entire WNBA power structure. Because when the world's #1 female golfer walks up to basketball's brightest star and hands her a custom gift in front of cameras, with perfect timing, perfect placement, perfect execution, you're watching a billion-dollar marketing shift happen in real time. And here's what nobody's talking about. A'ja Wilson, the reigning MVP, Nike's established face of women's basketball, just watched Nike crown a new queen. And trust me, this story goes way deeper than a pair of shoes. Many of you have been saying this for weeks. You've noticed the shift. You've seen how Nike's been positioning Caitlin Clark not just as a basketball player, but as something bigger, a multi-sport icon, a crossover phenomenon, an athlete who transcends her league. And this moment with Nelly Korda? That was Nike telling the world exactly where their investment is going. If you believe the story behind the story matters, smash that like button. It tells us we're on the right track. Because what we're about to unpack isn't just drama. It's a corporate power play that's rewriting the rules of women's sports marketing. Let's connect the dots. Nelly Korda isn't some random golfer. She's Nike's fastest rising female athlete in golf, multiple major championships, global appeal, international star power. And Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie sensation. She's the most marketable athlete in women's basketball history, the player who broke viewership records, sold out arenas, and turned casual fans into obsessed followers. 2 different sports, 2 different audiences, but one brand owns them both. And when Nike puts these two together in a viral moment that looks perfectly staged, perfectly timed, and perfectly designed to dominate social media, you're not watching friendship, you're watching strategy. Here's where it gets uncomfortable for A'ja Wilson. She's earned everything. Back-to-back MVPs, WNBA champion, Defensive Player of the Year, Nike athlete for years. She's been the face, the leader, the standard. But Caitlin Clark's rookie season changed the entire landscape. Television ratings tripled, merchandise flew off shelves. Nike saw something they hadn't seen in women's basketball in decades. A player who could sell beyond the sport. A player who could carry Nike into new markets, new demographics, new revenue streams. And when you're Nike and you see that kind of potential, you don't just support it. You build an empire around it.
What does it mean for women's sports, for 2 of the biggest stars to come together in this sort of environment? How important is that?
I think it just shows how powerful, supporting one another can truly be. And, I've always been a big advocate of that and supporting women's sports, and always been a big fan, whether it's golf or soccer or volleyball, whatever it is. So it's really fun to just see her do her craft up close and how good she is. And, getting to play with her last year, and I played a few other rounds with her. So
that's what Nelly Korda's gift represented. Nike showing the world that Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball investment. She's a portfolio centerpiece. An athlete so valuable that they're pairing her with stars from entirely different sports to maximize her reach. Think about the strategy. Golf fans who've never watched WNBA basketball suddenly see Caitlin Clark trending because of Nelly Korda. Basketball fans who've never watched golf suddenly know Nelly's name because of Caitlin. Nike creates crossover content, viral moments, and expands both athletes' audiences simultaneously. It's genius marketing, but it comes with casualties. Because here's what the WNBA establishment didn't expect. When Caitlin Clark entered the league, they thought she'd fit into the existing hierarchy. Respect the veterans. defer to the MVPs, play her role. But Nike had different plans. They didn't sign Caitlin Clark to be another WNBA athlete. They signed her to be the athlete, the one who changes everything, the one who gets the crossover moments, the signature shoes, the global campaigns. And when Nike makes that decision, when they choose who gets elevated to that level, everyone else in the league feels it. Let's filter out the noise and look at the facts. A'ja Wilson has been Nike's primary WNBA face for years. She's done everything right, performed at the highest level, represented the brand with class, built her legacy. But in sports marketing, legacy doesn't always protect you from disruption. And Caitlin Clark is disruption personified. She brings something A'ja can't, a fan base that transcends basketball, appeal that reaches demographics the WNBA has struggled to capture for decades. And Nike sees that. They've always seen that. The gift from Nelly Korda wasn't random. It happened at the Annika event, a high-profile golf tournament where cameras would capture every moment. Caitlin was there as a celebrity participant, mixing with golf's elite. And Nelly, Nike's golf superstar, showed up with custom shoes, not just any shoes, her signature Soul PC collection, a product line that represents Nelly's own rise to the top. And she gave them to Caitlin publicly, symbolically, with full awareness that this moment would explode online. What does it mean for women's sports when two of the biggest stars come together in this sort of environment? How important is that? I think it just shows how powerful, supporting one another can truly be. And, I've always been a big advocate of that and supporting women's sports. I've always been a big fan of whether it's golf or soccer or volleyball or whatever it is. So it's really fun to just see her do her craft up close and how good she is. And, getting to play with her last year, I played a few other rounds with her. That quote from Nelly sounds supportive, sounds wholesome, but reading between the lines reveals the deeper truth. Nelly's talking about supporting women's sports, but Nike's talking about supporting Caitlin Clark specifically. There's a difference, a massive difference, because if Nike truly wanted to support women's sports equally, they'd be creating these crossover moments for A'ja Wilson too. They'd be pairing her with golf stars, soccer legends, track icons. But they're not. They're betting everything on Caitlin. And that's where the tension lives. A'ja Wilson sees this. The entire WNBA sees this. When Nike builds a multi-sport marketing universe around one player, and that player isn't you, even if you're the MVP, even if you've earned every accolade, you feel the shift. You feel your position changing, not because you did anything wrong, but because someone else became more valuable to the brand. Here's what we're getting into rumor territory on, but sources around the league suggest there's been frustration, not publicly stated, not officially confirmed, but whispered in private conversations. Questions about why Caitlin gets treatment that other stars don't, why her marketability seems to unlock doors that remained closed for everyone else, why Nike's willing to create these elaborate crossover campaigns for her, but not for the players who've been carrying the league for years. And if you're watching this thinking, wait, is Nike really playing favorites? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation matters. We need to hear from A'ja Wilson fans, from Caitlin Clark supporters, from everyone who's been watching this unfold. Tell us, is Nike making the right call, or are they disrespecting the players who built this league?
Asked me if they're going to make her golf better, and I was like, guaranteed.
Did you sign them?
No, I didn't. I hope she uses them. But I gave her a little gift bag of this little PE collection, which has been super fun to make. So I'm very grateful. And if you told me this, 10 years ago when I was looking in the crowd that I would have my own shoe and being here playing in front of everyone and inspiring the next generation, I would tell you.
Let's go deeper into what Nike's actually building here. They asked Nelly if the shoes were going to make Caitlin's golf better, and Nelly was like, guaranteed. Did you sign them? No, I didn't. I hope she uses them. But I gave her a little gift bag of the Soul PC collection, which has been super fun to make. So I'm very grateful. And if you told me this, I don't know 10 years ago when I was looking in the crowd that I would have my own shoe and being here playing in front of everyone and inspiring the next generation, I would tell you, you're crazy. That last line from Nelly is critical. She's talking about inspiring the next generation. And Nike's entire strategy with Caitlin Clark is built on that exact concept. They're not marketing to today's WNBA fans, they're marketing to the fans who don't exist yet. The teenagers who've never watched women's basketball but might start because of Caitlin. The international audiences who see her highlights and suddenly care. The casual sports fans who need a superstar to follow. Nike's betting that Caitlin Clark can create new fans, not just serve existing ones. And that's where A'ja Wilson's position becomes complicated. She's beloved by WNBA fans, respected by basketball purists, admired by people who follow the league. But Caitlin Clark reaches people who don't follow the league. People who didn't know women's basketball existed until they saw her trending. And for Nike, that expansion potential is worth everything. It's worth restructuring their entire women's basketball marketing strategy. It's worth elevating one player above all others, even if it creates tension, even if it feels unfair to the MVPs who came before. You were onto something when you noticed Nike's been treating Caitlin differently from day one. The contract she signed wasn't just bigger, it was structured differently. More creative control, more input on products, more flexibility. To do crossover events like the Annika tournament, Nike gave Caitlin the LeBron James treatment. The superstar package that says, you're not just an athlete, you're a brand unto yourself. And when you give that package to someone, you're telling everyone else in the league where they stand. Multiple sources are whispering about conversations within WNBA circles, conversations about whether Nike's strategy is helping the league or hurting it. Because on one hand, Caitlin's popularity brings attention, viewership, revenue, all good things. But on the other hand, when one player receives such disproportionate marketing support, it creates a hierarchy that feels predetermined. It suggests that no matter how well A'ja Wilson plays, no matter how many championships she wins, she'll never get the Nike treatment Caitlin gets, because Nike's already decided who their future is. And here's the part that makes this moment with Nelly Korda so significant. It wasn't just about golf and basketball coming together. It was about Nike demonstrating their cross-sport vision. They're building Caitlin into an athlete who exists above individual sports, someone who can show up at a golf tournament and become the story, someone who can interact with any Nike athlete in any sport and create viral moments. That's rarefied air. That's Michael Jordan territory. That's where Nike only places their absolute biggest bets. Connecting the dots reveals something even bigger. Nike's not just trying to make Caitlin Clark the face of women's basketball. They're trying to make her the face of women's sports, period, across all disciplines. And when you have that ambition, you need crossover moments. You need her photographed with Serena Williams, with Simone Biles, with Alex Morgan, with Nelly Korda. You need to show the world that she belongs in every conversation about female athletes. And you need to do it before anyone else claims that space. But if these reports are accurate and there is tension behind the scenes, Nike's playing a dangerous game. Because the WNBA's success requires more than one star. It requires depth, multiple storylines, various players fans can rally behind. If Nike's strategy makes it seem like Caitlin Clark is the only player who matters, they risk alienating the existing fan base. The fans who have supported A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and all the other stars who've carried this league through its toughest years. Fans have been connecting these dots since that gift moment went viral. Social media lit up with theories about Nike's intentions, A'ja's reaction, and what this means for women's basketball's future. Some people celebrated it as proof that women's sports are reaching new heights. Others saw it as corporate manipulation that disrespects the league's foundation. And both perspectives have merit, because Nike can be simultaneously elevating women's sports while also creating problematic hierarchies within it. The WNBA community is buzzing about whether this changes everything or changes nothing. Does Nike's endorsement of Caitlin Clark as their multi-sport centerpiece actually affect A'ja Wilson's career? Does it change how fans view her accomplishments? Does it impact her earning potential, her legacy, her place in history? Or does it simply reflect the reality that marketing and performance are two different games? And sometimes the best player doesn't get the biggest platform. Here's what we know for certain. Caitlin Clark's rise has been unprecedented, not just in women's basketball, but in women's sports overall. The speed at which she's captured global attention, the intensity of her fan base, the media coverage she generates, it's all historic. And Nike recognized that before anyone else. They saw the metrics, the engagement numbers, the demographic data. They saw that Caitlin could do something no women's basketball player has done since the WNBA's early years. She could transcend the sport, and transcending the sport requires transcendent moments. Like receiving custom shoes from the world's #1 female golfer. Like being celebrated by athletes from other disciplines. Like having Nike construct an entire marketing ecosystem that positions you as bigger than basketball. That's what Nike's building, and A'ja Wilson, despite everything she's accomplished, doesn't fit that blueprint. Not because she's not talented enough, but because the metrics say Caitlin's reach is broader. That's the harsh truth of sports marketing. Talent matters, but marketability matters more. Championships matter, but cultural impact matters more. And right now, Caitlin Clark has cultural impact that the WNBA hasn't seen in decades. Nike's job isn't to be fair. Their job is to maximize profit. And if they believe Caitlin Clark can generate more revenue as their crossover superstar than A'ja Wilson can, as their WNBA champion, they're going to invest accordingly, even if it stings, even if it feels like a betrayal to the player who's been loyal to their brand for years. So, was Nelly Korda's gift a slap to A'ja Wilson? Not intentionally. Nelly was being generous, supportive, connecting with another elite athlete, but symbolically, absolutely. Because that moment crystallized Nike's new hierarchy. It showed the world who Nike believes is the future. And it wasn't subtle. It was public, viral, impossible to ignore. A'ja Wilson, watching that moment, had to recognize what it meant. Nike's moved on. They've found their next generational investment. And she's wearing number 22 for the Indiana Fever. If you've made it this far, you understand what's really happening here. This isn't just basketball drama. This is a case study in how corporations reshape sports landscapes, how they choose winners before the game even starts, how they create stars not just through performance, but through strategic positioning. And if you want to stay ahead of these stories, if you want to understand the business moves behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because we're tracking every development in this saga. Next video, we're breaking down A'ja Wilson's response to all of this. And trust me, you don't want to miss what she said. The Nelly Korda moment wasn't just a gift, it was a declaration. Nike's declaring that the women's sports hierarchy has changed, that Caitlin Clark sits at the top now, and that everyone else, no matter their accomplishments, plays a supporting role in her story. Whether you celebrate that or resist it, you can't deny it's happening. The power has shifted, and women's sports will never be the same.